Does this matter? Does anything even matter? Is there a point to any of this?
If your answer to these questions is no, you might resonate with the concept of nihilism. What is nihilism, and why should you care? In simple terms, nihilism is the theory of nothing. But let's dig deeper. Part 1. When? Nihilism originated as a result of the Enlightenment period, a time where scientific discoveries threw conventional religious beliefs out the window. People began to scrutinize and doubt their values of morality, good and evil, death, purpose, and truth. Part 2. Who? There were a few key figures in philosophy that had a great impact on the perception and ideals of modern nihilism. First, there was Friedrich Heinrich Jacobi, who coined the term and criticized it as he thought it would destroy an individual's sense of self. There was also Søren Kierkegaard, who thought nihilism was destructive and believed blind faith, the paradoxical infinite, was the cure. And arguably, the most important was Friedrich Nietzsche. He said that the two central concepts of the crisis of nihilism were the destruction of higher values and the opposition to the affirmation of life. In Will to Power, Nietzsche wrote, "Every belief, every considering something true, is necessarily false, because there is simply no true world." Though he argued for nihilism, he also argued that it would drive society to disaster. His solution was that if society could work through the breakdown of greater knowledge, they could reconstruct a new morality and chart a new course for logical value. Part 3. What? To a nihilist, there is no meaning in anything. Existence is ultimately meaningless and purposeless. There have been different nihilist positions, including that human values are baseless, life is meaningless, knowledge is impossible, or some set of entities are non-existent or meaningless. Nihilism as a whole questions the existence of objective truth and beliefs. It rejects meaning. But this brings to mind the paradox of nihilism. Paul Lagarde writes, "The absence of meaning seems to be some sort of meaning." If a nihilist believes that nothing has meaning, how can they find meaning in nihilism? If you believe in nothing, then that nothing becomes something you believe in. Passive versus active nihilism. According to Nietzsche, a passive nihilist sees nihilism as an end in of itself, resigning themselves to traditional values despite their doubt. Active nihilists reject the values given by others, instead creating their own values. Active nihilists attempt to surpass nihilism. Though they both believe the core values of nihilism, passive nihilists see nihilism as an endpoint or a stop sign on the road to meaning, whereas active nihilists take it as a chance to build new roads. Pessimistic versus optimistic nihilism. An optimistic nihilist says, "There's no point in life, therefore, live your life to whatever you subjectively feel makes you happy and fulfilled." A pessimistic nihilist says, "There's no point in life, thus there's no subjective point to life at all." As nihilists, they share the objective idea that nothing matters, but they approach subjective meaning in a different way. Part 4. Why? Nihilism itself is an explanation for the meaning of life, in that there is no meaning, and it doesn't matter. In a world where people have different perspectives of life, where society as a whole is growing, and yet people can be shoehorned into a box of thinking they don't agree with, why should we settle for preconceived notions of objective morality? Why should we settle for the same beliefs everyone else in the echo chamber spews? Whether you agree or disagree with it as a concept, it is so important to understand nihilism as another perspective, as another way to think.